Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Allure of the Poor, sponsored by Dracaena Wines. I am so happy to be here today because as anybody who listens to this podcast knows, I am the biggest Paso Robles proponent there is. I adore Paso. And today with me, I have Chris Toronto, who is the communications manager for the Paso Wine Alliance. So hey Chris, how you doing?
Hey, Lori, good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we are getting into an amazing time in Paso because in just a couple of weeks, we're going to have Paso Wine Fest, which is an amazing event that occurs in Paso every year.
It is. It is. This will be, technically our 40th year, although we had to take a couple of years off.
We don't count that.
Well, we're not counting it. We're still saying 40 years strong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We can just take those couple of years and push them to the back of our minds and don't think anything about it, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely. Definitely.
So before we start talking about the festival, let's talk about Paso itself.
Sure.
I scream from the top of my lungs how fantastic Paso is, but let's get another person's opinion. Why do you think Paso is so fantastic?
It comes down to the growing environment, really, truly. I mean, is super important, making great wine. There's so many factors, but I think really it comes down to the fact that we have this real cool kind of almost Goldilocks little place along California's Central Coast. The soils being, high pH soils, high in calcium, calcium carbonate, basically ancient seabed stuff that has been uplifted and really close to the surface. This relationship that we have with the Santa Lucia mountain range and being able to, actually get a cooling influence from the Pacific Ocean over and through that mountain range, because there's a slight dip in elevation parallel to us and in between us and the Pacific Ocean. And so it allows some cooling influence, but not, something, beyond necessary to just kind of give us that little crispness that takes us from maybe 100 degrees during the day to like 50 at night. And so that also along with the fact that, it's a long growing season here, these days, we're seeing bud break somewhere around mid, maybe even early March. And then, we're done picking maybe second week of November. So that allows us to grow a lot of different varieties that don't normally get ripe because we do get warm here. So all of those little pieces combined makes this a really great growing region. We don't hang our hats on just one thing. We're not just Cab or just Syrah or Pinot or anything like that. We're 64 different varieties. And so I think for a lot of people, we're great and they consider us a really great region because there's so much diversity and so many different wine drinkers can find what they like here. So it's all of those things combined, and then the people, right?
There you go. The people. I find the people in Paso, our very first visit, it was special. The people, when you go into a tasting room, you are talking to the people who are in the vineyards, who are making the wine, and everybody cares. And what I think is very special is that there's not so much of a competition between winemakers in Paso where there may be some competition in other areas. Everybody wants everybody to succeed. And that's what's special about Paso also.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the whole rising tide floats all boats kind of mantra is very much alive and well. Each time we host, whether they be journalists or trade or just, different guests in the wine industry, that's always something that they point out to us. Like, wow, you guys in Paso, you're always pushing each other along. You're always saying, oh, you like what I'm doing here? You should try, this person or this winery and try their stuff. And that's a really cool vibe to have here that is definitely seen outside of our area,
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you 100%. The fact that Paso can grow 64 grapes and not only just grow them, but grow them well. And, when somebody comes to Paso, they aren't pigeonholed into a specific variety. They can try everything and explore new varieties that they may not have even known that they like, and then they can fall in love with them.
Yeah, absolutely. We like the fact that people are recognizing us for that, because then we know that there's a lot of variety, as I mentioned before, that can maybe bring you around to, like, even if you're like a cab lover or something like that, or you're really into your own style wines, you might walk away going, wow, there's some really great Italian varieties there, Spanish, or there's some cool blends. Because that's the other thing is no real rules here. We're not bound by anything. And so you got people blending. I mean, blending Cab and Syrah now is almost like kind of commonplace. Years ago, it really wasn't. But now, blending Cab with Petite Syrah, who knows, whatever else out there, works. It actually works.
Yeah, it does. And it's an experimentation to the people's palate. And then they find out, hey, this is pretty darn good stuff. And I'm really close because Paso is centered right between San Francisco and LA. So it's a lot easier to get to here to Paso to enjoy this spectacular wine.
Yeah, definitely. That we find that to be definitely a benefit of ours, not just because we're centrally located, but to come here, it's not a day trip. So you're likely staying here. You're likely kind of getting a piece of the community while you're here, because 3.5 hours, is a little much. If we were like an hour, or maybe even two from, say, a major city, I could see people coming up and, spending a better part of an afternoon or something. But when you're 3.5, 4 hours either way to a really major city that might have its own tourism and its own kind of influx of visitors that are looking for more, we're not really that for them. You have to come here because you're coming here. And I think we're doing a far greater job these days of attracting people, simply because, I mean, first and foremost, wine, well, food as well, and just this really fun and welcoming community, that you get people that are going to spend a night or two here and really immerse themselves into the wine culture.
Absolutely. And that brings me right into, that was like a perfect lead in, Chris. So that is really what the Paso Robles Wine Alliance is about, is bringing recognition, bringing people's eyes onto Paso. So can you tell us more about the Alliance and your role in it?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So the Alliance, we've been around. We've been around since the wine festival started. Actually, that's kind of how the Wine Alliance got its start. Was a committee born out of a need for tourism centered around wine that created the wine festival in 1983. And so this committee eventually evolved in the early 90s into the Paso Robles Vintners and Growers Association, and then later on evolves into the Paso Robles Wine Country Alliance. And we're basically the nonprofit organization, official marketing organization, I should say, of the Paso Robles wine region. We represent this American viticultural area, and we are made up of wineries who choose to basically invest into the Wine Alliance for the betterment of the whole. And so we use those funds along with different grants that we get and from different agencies in order to do that. And so we, of course, have our website, pasowine.com, as this major I guess, visitor serving trade as well, but visitor serving place to go and learn more and find information about not only Paso, but our wineries and places to visit, hotels, all that good stuff. But we're also very much into raising the brand awareness of Paso through the trade and through media. And that's where I come in. I'm the communications director here. And so my role is essentially to speak to trade and speak to media, hopefully inspire them to, whether it be write about Paso, look for Paso wines in market to carry, or to educate others actually on the region. So we do master classes for trade. We do immersions for trade and media, meaning we'll host them on different trips. We've got one coming up next week, actually, for trade. And we do this in order to hopefully get those people to become new ambassadors, if you will. So if it's a sommelier, or a wine steward working the floor at a restaurant somewhere, or at a retail chain, or an owner of a small wine bar or a large wine bar somewhere else in the country, if we're giving them the tools to help represent Paso and the Paso wines that are on their lists or on their store shelves, then maybe it'll mean additional wines being brought in. Maybe it'll mean they'll give somebody the time of day that's new, that's knocking on their door saying, hey, I'd like to show you my stuff. It hopefully opens more doors to having more Paso wine out in that market. And so that's a lot of what we do, is this brand awareness thing. Consumers, we do a lot of things for consumers. Not only PasoWine.com, but events. And that takes us back to WineFest, actually, because WineFest is kind of that marquee for us over the years of being this kind of, if anything, diving board, if you will, into Paso wine. This is that place where it brings you out and brings you in, and then kind of sets you free into exploring what Paso wine has to offer. But it starts with a festival.
And now it actually is a new name this year. So it used to be called what?
The Paso Wine Festival. So we all, had our own kind of endearing terms for Wine Fest. I still call it Wine Fest, but many people called it Paso Wine Fest. And so we figured, well, why not? Let's move forward with it,
Well, it kind of says it all. It's Paso, it's a festival, right? Fest, let's cheer it on. And it's even in a new location this year.
It is. It's going to be over at the Paso Robles Event Center. I wanted to call it the fairgrounds because that's kind of what we call it, I suppose. But it is the event center, and it isn't like fairgroundy. I mean, it's really cool. We're basically holding it over in this area called Frontier Town, or Frontier Village, I think it is. Okay. Kind of an old Western theme with wooden sidewalks and that whole thing. And so it's going to be really cool, and it's going to be very Paso. We've had a number of really great years holding it in our downtown square park, which is right in the smack in the center of town. But with COVID and having to cancel 2 years in a row, that gave us an opportunity to kind of reimagine WineFest and how we would want to do that. And we've toyed with the idea of moving it for years. I mean, closing down streets in Paso and almost building a little city in downtown. And after a while, like the busyness of Paso alone, with merchants and parking and all of that kind of stuff, it was just challenging. And while it's a really community oriented thing, it was almost kind of swimming upstream to the community, especially the business community. And so we definitely saw this opportunity that if we could take it over to the fairgrounds, we'll have dedicated parking. We have all of these other hard amenities that we don't have to build ourselves. Right. It just lent itself to being there. And there's so many other events in town that happen there anyway. It's kind of perfect,
Yeah, and for those who don't know, it's just a little bit off of downtown, the fairgrounds, or the event center. It's just a little bit off downtown, and it has its own parking right there, and multiple entrances so you can get in and out, and the facilities are fantastic there. So absolutely, yeah, and it's and lots of natural shade, lots of seating, lots of just a little bit of everything that we need to pull off a really good festival. Plus, there are indoor facilities, like larger indoor facilities, that we can then host different types of things like seminars, or like kind of like a VIP lounges, and just other things that give us that flexibility to be able to get a little bit more dynamic with the festival. Because that's the other new thing. I mean, the whole festival is practically brand new, honestly. It's like it's a wine tasting, yes. So, wineries behind a table, but just in the manner that we're doing it is completely different. And those wineries, there's going to be 100 wineries, right? About 100 wineries. So
Mhm.
that is amazing. I don't think there's any other event anywhere where you could walk into a single place and taste that many wineries at one location.
No, not in Paso Robles, that's for sure.
Uh,
They're all Paso Robles wineries serving, sharing Paso Robles AVA wines, American Viticultural Area wines, and celebrating it too. I think that's the big thing, and it's everybody. I mean, honestly, it's everybody from a lot of the kind of bigger production people to the super small production. The people that get the high scores and the folks that maybe you've never heard about or that are brand new. I mean, there's just a little bit of everybody all there at the Wine Fest, all sharing their wines and a lot of what makes Paso unique, especially from their point of view and from their wine point of view too. I mean, gosh, you're probably gonna be able to find all 64 varieties grown in the area in one way or another, whether in a blend or standalone. So it's going to be really, really cool. We've got, a couple bands playing,
yeah.
seminar. We've got, we're going to have, on stage kind of entertainment beyond just bands, because we have, the local Cork Dork show is going to be broadcasting and bringing winemakers up. And something fun that they're doing is they'll be pouring a wine on stage and talking about it over the broadcast as well. And then they're going to make that particular wine available. If you're there listening and watching, you can walk up to the tent there and be able to taste that wine. And we've asked, let's see, I think we have 9 winemakers that are going to be on that show to show something that they're not showing in their booth.
Oh, okay. So
Something fun.
something
Maybe it's
special. Yeah.
something special, something like maybe potentially vintage or whatever. And and in so many cases and so many turns in the fest, we're trying to do that. We have a VIP area that we've asked every winery, all 100 wineries, submit a bottle for the VIP section, and it's something you're not pouring in at your place over on the wine festival. And then we have a team of sommeliers that are going to be curating them and creating these hourly kind of pop in and taste and check those wines out type of thing.
Wow.
Prepared to talk about them and everything else. And so we've never done that before. We've never done that broadcast thing before. We've never had as many bands and all kinds of other things. It's going to be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So there, I
That's all
saw
new.
that there's actually 3 stages that are going to be rotating through bands. So
Yeah.
people are going to be entertained, the entire time. And what actually are the hours of the grand tasting?
So yeah, the grand tasting is from noon to 4.
Okay.
So that's the entirety of the event there. However, we do have a maker seminar that takes place just before that. And that one's called the Cab Icons of Paso. And so with Cabernet Sauvignon getting such great recognition lately in Paso, we put together a fun seminar ahead of the actual fest itself. And what's new here is we're bringing in, we're just redesigning the fest or the seminar in general. In the past, we would do like a cross section type of thing. We wouldn't really theme it. We would just bring in like, okay, we'll go from Grenache Blanc to, Petite Syrah and everything in between, 6 winemakers, and we talk about what makes Paso unique. This time we're actually theming it and thought it would be kind of fun to then focus on one thing this year. Next year we'll do something else, right? And so having it focused like that has been already, we can see, I mean, the tickets are selling pretty quick for that. But that maker seminar is from 10 to 11:30. So that gives people about a 30-minute little break window, whatever, to then come into the main tasting that's from 12 to 4.
And that would be a separate ticket when they go on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's a separate ticket. And it's essentially it's unlimited tastes, and there will be some sampling and the like happening there, but we're bringing in also another new thing, another new element, a bunch of food trucks and food purveyors that are going to be in their own little kind of corralled area, ready to sell food. But the big thing is, though, is that we're giving everybody a food voucher. So I'm holding it up for you, but everybody gets this little $10 food voucher. So we couldn't figure out really how to serve everybody food and make it work and, you know, satisfy everybody. And so we thought, all right, you know what? Here's what we'll do is we'll get these food trucks to come in, give everybody this food voucher, $10 towards. We're asking them, of course, to be able to pump out food as quickly as possible. Because you know how you go to a festival and then you spend half the time waiting in line and then another half the time waiting for your food. We're working with our food providers to make that quicker, go faster, but then also by offering up a lot of different variety, we're hoping that that can keep things really moving. And then also a $10 voucher. I mean, you don't get change for it necessarily, but that should cover everything, if not the majority of whatever food or plate you're getting. And so now there's another one less thing, you know, to slow things down. And so people can enjoy the day, but still be able to consume some food and not.
Which is very important.
Yeah.
Very, very important.
Definitely.
You see all those people with the pretzel necklaces and stuff. This is much better than a pretzel necklace.
Yeah. We hope so. Hey, we're not judging. If you want to wear a pretzel necklace, you
absolutely
knock yourself out.
There is never any judging here. Just you know, I'm just saying the food's going to be a lot better than a pretzel. That's all I'm
Definitely.
saying.
Yeah. We'll also have a maker's market there. So, you know, to give people a little something extra if you want to slow down or you're taking a break or you're just wanting to check out some really cool stuff. We'll have a lot of cool artisans that are actually like make their stuff or do their own work and all of that. And so people selling everything from, you know, hats to jewelry and kind of a little bit of everything in between. But we made certain to kind of curate that so it's not just kind of canned stuff. We want to bring people in that, you know, have the same passion like our winemakers do.
Right. And that's perfect also because somebody might be a designated driver and there's something that they can look at, or maybe somebody, I don't know why, but maybe they don't like wine. I don't get it.
They're in the wrong place that day.
But there's things that they can look at and they can purchase and still support small, which is what Paso is, still support those people. Yeah. And now there's also the Wine Fest, it's kind of like the culminating event, but it actually starts on the 19th is kind of like the weekend, and wineries are doing like their own thing for those days.
Yeah, so many wineries will start doing things that are going to be like their own events as early as on Thursday, right? And so of that week. And so you can definitely go to pasowine.com. And when you go to the Wine Fest page, there's a little link there where you can look at the main events, but then you can look at winery events. And then that whole thing is populated with what every winery in town is doing on our main database. And so you can plug in to see, you can search by winery, you can search by activity. And then of course, searching by dates. I mean, that kind of makes it important. So if you're looking at Thursday, the 19th, that'll tell you who's doing what. Most wineries, though, are likely hosting their own events on Friday the 20th or Sunday the 22nd, simply because so many wineries are involved with the festival itself that while they're probably going to be open on Saturday the 21st, it's just kind of likely that anything special is going to be on the days surrounding the 21st. And that could be anything from just open houses to, you know, different maybe music events or barbecue and other kind of foodie type of things to full-blown winemaker dinners and going crazy with, you know, outstanding in the field style meals. So it's a little bit of everything. But like I said, a good majority of them will be like Friday and then on Sunday. Sunday is going to be the daytime, mostly of the daytime activities as well, where Fridays are likely the more of the evening activities since people might just be getting into town. Yeah. So it's good to go to pasowine.com and check that out any time of the year, truly, because now Winefest is kind of like the kickoff to season, you know. Now it seems like, yeah, you know, that's the following weekend is Memorial Day weekend, and then you get into summer and kids get out of school, and so it's a good place to go and check out. If you're coming to Paso and you can't make Winefest, you can look there to see what's happening.
Yeah, and the Wine Alliance actually holds several big events throughout the year. Three or four?
Three, yeah.
Three.
Well, four. Yeah, because in spring or earlier spring, just a few weeks ago, actually, we had Spring Release Weekend, which is the third weekend of March. Used to be called Zinfest. We're changing everything around, by the way.
That's,
renaming stuff.
Absolutely. You know, out with the old, in with the new.
Absolutely. Yep. And so we had Spring Release Weekend, the third weekend of March, and that'll always be third weekend of March. And that's basically a celebration of the new releases for the year. So many wineries are busting out, whether it be the whites or rosés of the previous harvest around that time, to, you know, maybe some red wines that have sat in barrel and in bottle long enough, and it's time to get them out there, right? So it's just that good pivotal moment to kind of recognize that and celebrate it and get people out here to come and experience it. You know, weather starts to warm just a little, just enough. It's not summer yet. Then Winefest, third weekend of May. And then we've got, it used to be called Harvest Wine Weekend. Now we're calling it Harvest Wine Month. And that is the entire month of October. What we noticed is when you tell the wineries, hey, third weekend of October, let's throw a bunch of really cool parties and stuff and get people to come out and experience harvest. And every year it's like, yeah, every event kind of comes together, you know, from behind the scenes, a little last minute, because it's
right.
Like they're really busy.
Yeah.
And so,
and the grapes don't wait. You got to pick them when they're, you know, when they're perfect. So they can't wait.
So what we ended up doing is saying, well, let's just call October Harvest Wine Month, and that's the month to come and celebrate and hang out and check out harvest one way or another. We told we're telling our wineries, all right, everybody, do something in October and we'll market it. You know, we'll create the database and we'll have fun, and we'll, you know, create this kind of thing that happens. So that's new. We're not there yet, but we're gonna get there. And then we've got Blend Fest on the coast. We've been doing that for many years now. It's a partnership with the 101 Discovery route, or Highway 1 Discovery route, over in Cambria and San Simeon, Lower Big Sur, kind of above Cayucas and all, with the Cambria visitor folks and the San Simeon Visitor Bureau folks, just trying to create something in February that, you know, highlights a time over there where it's really pretty, could be wet, but it's really pretty and it's a little slower. And so by creating a tasting event over there, we're hoping to get a few heads in beds and get people to come and enjoy Paso wine, but just over on the coast. So we call it Blend Fest on the coast, and it's a celebration of all blended wine. So we encourage everybody, like, come and explore and, you know, get out of your box of only liking Cab or Syrah or, you know,
there you go.
something else, Chardonnay, and come and check some other stuff out. So yeah, we also go on the road, though. I don't know if you know this or not, Lori, but we do road shows. We haven't in a little while.
I was at the one in New York.
Oh, that's right, you were. I forgot. That was a funny coincidence, by the way.
Yeah, right. I go to New York and I do a Paso thing.
It's like, oh, interesting. Hey, right on. Yeah, that's right. You reached out in advance, but still, it was like, yeah, sure. Like, all right. But yes, we do events all over the United States. We've got a couple coming up where we're going to go to San Diego on June 23rd. We will be in San Diego hosting a grand tasting event with about 30 wineries. So that particular event, we actually bring wineries with us. They're behind a table. It's like a mini wine fest, sort of. Okay. they stand behind a table, and we do a trade event ahead of it, and then a consumer event after. We'll be putting tickets up for sale here pretty soon on pasowine.com for that. Just as soon as we got our venue locked in, we'll have all the deets for that. And then later in the year, we're going to Texas in October and Arizona in November. So we'll have those details, of course, eventually. And those are going to be mostly trade events. We're going to figure out some consumer elements to it, and get on the road and market Paso.
Awesome. So as we go back to Wine Fest, right?
Yeah.
People can purchase the tickets at pasowine.com for
Correct.
everything.
Yeah. Purchase tickets there. Right now, when you look at everything that is on offer for Wine Fest, there's still some Thursday winemaker dinners tickets available. So we do 2 different dinners, one at Thomas Hill Organics, the other one at the Hatch. We have wineries. That's on Thursday, May 19th. We have wineries that have signed up to pour their wines at those dinners. They walk around and hang out with everybody there and just talk about their wines. And great food at Thomas Hill, great food at the Hatch. So those are a couple fun dinners that those restaurants actually, in essence, host on our behalf. So it's cool that they're getting involved and doing that. And they've been doing it for a few years now. Sparkling Paso, another new thing, by the way. On Friday, May 20th, we're going over to Paris Valley Road Estate Winery. And we have 5 brands who are making sparkling wine in Paso out of Paso grapes that are going to be pouring there and sharing what makes Paso Robles sparkling wine unique. And that's actually, again, that's a neat new first time event thing that we're doing. It's from 4 to 5:30. So it's a little short window, a little 90-minute fun thing to go and taste a few wines, nibble on a few bites from Paris Valley Road, and get to know some winemakers in kind of an intimate setting. So that's a fun thing that we're doing, totally new. Paso Starry Night Dinner. This one's sold out.
Oh.
But it's really neat. Yeah, it is kind of like one of those outstanding in the field type events. We're doing it over there at the event center. They have this awesome park, this little mini park in the center of the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Bordered by walls, little stone walls. They got twinkle lights there. It's so unique to have that little piece of grass that exists there. That's really pretty. It's like you kind of forget what's around you. And we're going to do it there. One big long table, great chef, bunch of wineries. It's mostly winemaker, like kind of winemakery couples that are at the dinner table. So that would be fun too, to get their vibe. It's also winemakers who are all friends as well. That's one of the things that I think really sets Paso apart in a way is how actual friends so many of us are.
Yes.
In the community. Like actually hang out with them because we want to, not because we're forced to, or not because but like, that so many people are such friends outside of business. And so that's kind of what Starry Night Dinner is all about. We're going to have to figure out how to eventually expand that thing in the future, so more people, because
that sounds awesome. Yeah, and if it's sold out, you got to do more. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The Maker Seminar, Icons of Cab. Of course, I mentioned that earlier, 10 to 11:30 on Saturday, the 21st. And then you can get your tickets for the Wine Fest Grand Tasting for Saturday, the 21st from 12 to 4, also on pasowine.com. There's a couple levels of tickets. There's the VIP ticket, and then there's our general admission ticket.
Okay. And then is there any at the door sales?
Probably.
Okay. But they can always just do it from their phone or something from the website.
Yeah. We're trying not to have that kind of that whole like cash exchange type of thing or credit card running and
right.
that. But yeah, if you're doing it from your phone and you're literally standing there and a ticket is available, yeah, when we're not doing the thing where we bump up the ticket cost the day of. It's the same price no matter what. Yeah.
Okay. And it is illegal to hand over wine at these events to customers, but the wineries will be able to take your orders when you fall in love with the wines, right?
Definitely, yes. And we're encouraging to do that. Thank you. That we're encouraging to do that, them to do that. And of course, bring signups for wine clubs and all of that. And then hopefully on Sunday, that's when you're running out to the wineries and picking them up and yeah, enjoying yourself a little bit more.
A little bit more. Awesome. So
Yeah.
did we miss anything about Wine Fest that the listeners should know? Other than to get to their computers and purchase tickets.
Well, I'd like to offer everybody listening their own special promo code for your show.
Oh,
That they can get a $20 discount on a ticket. And so maybe how can we go about doing that?
well, let's see. Why don't we use code ETWG for exploring the wine glass?
All right, we're gonna do, and I'm gonna add something to that if that's okay.
Sure.
We're gonna do ETWG _22.
All right.
That's our code right now when we do these.
Okay.
So we're keeping track on for the year. So if that's okay with you, we'll do
Sure.
EWG _22. You can just plug that in when you are getting as a promo code when you're cashing out, and that it'll take a $20 discount right off the price of the ticket.
All right. That is awesome. My listeners are going to love that. And thank you. That is awesome. And so all they got to do, go to pasowine.com, please, do the order for that Wine Fest because it is going to be amazing. You've got 500 wines, 100 wineries, a tasting, seminar. What's not to love about it?
Yeah, and obviously, fingers crossed, it's going to be a great day there.
It's always a great day in
You
Paso.
even mentioned the headliner band, though.
No, you didn't.
So the headliner band. So okay, this is where a little bit of the sense of humor of the staff here at the Wine Alliance, because we quite literally were like, well, what do you like to listen to when you're like at these events? And something that's fun, that's not too crazy, that's kind of background music, but you kind of want to dance a little bit to it, right? You kind of want to have a really good time. And so we've got this amazing cover band of Hall & Oates that are going to be playing. They actually tour. They're a touring one of those cover bands that's like a tribute band, and that's going to be there hanging out and playing their tunes on the main stage. We have a band ahead of them as well, the Sean Clark family band.
From the band.
So we're going to have the Sean Clark family band there. They're taking the stage first, and then comes along the Private Eyes. They are our Hall & Oates cover band / tribute band. Super fun. No better way to spend a fun summer afternoon sipping on Paso wines and listen to yacht rock, right?
Right. So that is a perfect name. That is a perfect name. Do they look like them too?
I think they do. Yeah. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they get up. I mean, yeah, it's pretty neat. And so we're just looking forward to having a really fun afternoon on the 21st and enjoying Paso wine and getting everybody out there. The entertainment doesn't stop there. We'll have, of course, as I mentioned before, the Cork Dorks from 92.5. Adam Montiel, he's going to be there interviewing winemakers, sharing different wines. That's going to be on stage as well. And then we'll have over in the VIP section a DJ spinning a few tunes, and of course the sound doesn't stop in the VIP area, and so posting up near it or whatever, if you're not in VIP, you're going to listen to some fun tunes and sip on some great wines. So we're looking forward to a really great afternoon. Our wineries, they're getting creative too. We're hearing they're asking for all kinds of interesting, kind of things, spaces where they can be, what they can do, and proposing some interesting things as well. I don't want to get into that yet, away. But I think just shy of approving a dunk tank, we're going to be we're going to be seeing some creative things happening at each of the different winery booths.
Well, you know what? I kind of like the idea of a dunk tank. If it's one of those hot Paso days, it's going to be a good relief. Everybody's going to be volunteering to be in the dunk tank.
Just to be clear, though, we're not going to approve a dunk tank, but yes, I agree.
Well, there's always next year too. You can see.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, next year you never know. We're going to actually approve 5 dunk tanks.
There you go.
So we'll see.
That is awesome. So at Paso Wine Fest, you can go to pasowine.com to purchase your tickets, either general admission or the VIP. You can use the code ETWG underscore 22 to get $20 off of your ticket order. And there's going to be food trucks there. You're going to get a $10 food voucher so that you can eat the amazing food that's there while you're sampling all the wines. There are 3 stages. There are bands. Hall & Oates, tribute
Cover
band,
yeah.
tribute band, right? Is going to be there. It is so much going on at Paso Wine Fest. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to be there.
Exactly. You're going to miss out. You're missing out on the big new fest that's going to be hopefully the standard for years to come. So
I think so. Well, thank you, Chris, for joining me and for sharing all of the information and for offering up the $20 discount code for my listeners. I appreciate that, and I'm sure that they will appreciate that also. And I can't wait to see what Paso Wine Fest is.
Yeah, and we're going to see you there too, right?
Yes, I will be there. Yes.
Excellent.
Yes. So we will see you in a couple of weeks, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Laura. I appreciate it.